am very happy to be here this morning with Mayor Miner. We have been talking for a long time and doing for a long time government modernization. And by way of history, I just wanted to talk about the fact that both the mayor and I have had experience as city councilors. And I will tell you one story. When I was on the Syracuse Common Council, the topic of merging the city and county purchasing departments came up, and we actually took a vote when I was on the council. I'm not sure if you were on the council at the time.
I don't remember this being in the briefing part.
Oh, sorry, I know. Well, as a city councilor, I was asked whether we could turn over the city's purchasing operation to Onondaga County government. I think it's something that came up before I was on the city council, and it certainly came up after I was on the city council. And at the time, the vote failed because the belief was that the city should be in control of its own pencils and its own paper, and that we don't want to turn things over to the big bad county. And that conversation went on for years and years and years. And then enter Mayor Stephanie Miner to the conversation, and very effectively, somewhat quietly, the city and county purchasing departments come together under the county umbrella, and the county has been performing the function of purchasing for the city. As we all know, we're all still standing here, the roads are still being plowed. The world did not, in fact, come to an end. And that is the kind of leadership that the city of Syracuse has had right along. Things that have been talked about, things that needed to be done, really got done once Mayor Miner arrived on the scene. I am very happy that the mayor was reelected and we're going to have another term, and she and I have agreed that we will take what has been a very effective history of merging our planning departments, merging our purchasing departments, finding ways for our governments to cooperate. We will take that conversation above an ad hoc level and start a process where we gather good data and talk about what our government should look like in 2013 and beyond. And we've committed to an open, transparent process. We want to include the whole community in the conversation, and we don't have any preconceived ideas about what this is going to look like at the end of the process. We've both committed to going into this with our best and brightest, and you'll see some of them here. And we have very good experience. I'll let the mayor talk about hers, but inside county government, we have really done some of everything. We just came off of a very good consolidation within county government of our human services. We've worked with the towns and the villages. Matt Millay is here, Bill Fisher, Ann Rooney. They've all been involved in really every aspect. We've hired professional management to take over the operations of the On Center. We have successfully completed the transfer to private ownership of the Van Dyne Home and Hospital. And as I said, the cooperation we've had with the city, we've also done a lot of similar things with the towns and with the villages. And we want to take that team that we have inside our county government and take advantage of this moment in time when we have tremendous leadership with Mayor Stephanie Miner and talk about what this should look like going forward. As I said, there's no preconceived ideas about what the outcome will be. There have been many calls for different kinds of consolidation and government modernization, but we have a track record here, I think, of leading the way, and there could be a solution or a framework that we don't yet see anywhere across the country, and we would be very proud to put something in place that the rest of the country would look to as what a government should look like in 2013 and beyond. We recognize we have a shared balance sheet. It doesn't do us any good to reduce county costs if they just increase costs in the city, the towns, and the villages. We have to recognize that we're duplicating services. Who is delivering what services? That's the kind of data that we're going to collect. Who is doing what and to what level? It's not simply about costs. It's about what services are provided, how well they're provided, to what level they're provided, and really where should those services come from. I am, before I turn it over to Mayor Miner and then make myself available for questions, the reason we're announcing this today is because you're going to start hearing that this process is taking place. And if there's one thing that I personally have learned, it's that these conversations are much stronger when they're out in the open and they're very transparent and people know what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. And I want people to know before they start hearing about data collection and consultants being hired, that our end goal is a more modern and efficient system of government in Onondaga County than the one we have now. There's nothing more specific than that. And I also want to point out what I think is abundantly obvious to everybody who has had to work inside government for the last several years is the city that Mayor Miner has been governing is a very different city than any of her predecessors had to govern. She has had to show remarkable creativity and courage to keep things going and going as well as they are. There's a lot happening in Syracuse, and it's because of some of the decisions and some of the political courage that this mayor has shown, and that's what we need. The only way this will be successful is if you have somebody who cares first and foremost about constituents and about governing. It's time to set all the politics aside and come together as governments, recognizing that we have an ability right now to look at our operations and perhaps reduce costs. And I'll leave you with one statistic that I heard. Onondaga County is 9th nationally among all counties in terms of how many governments we have per 10,000 residents. That's not a list that we want to be on. We know that that can be expensive, it can be inefficient, and we're looking to do better. And with that, I will turn it over to Syracuse Mayor Stephanie Miner.
Thank you. I contacted the county executive to talk about the fact that I have been approached by numbers of governments and private agencies and academics to talk about government innovation and what that means in terms of the provision of services, and is there a better and more efficient way to do it. The county executive, and she talked a little bit about this, and I have really presided over some major innovative policies and operations and shared services, from our sales tax sharing agreement to Save the Rain, to the Regional Airport Authority, to the Greater Syracuse Land Bank. We have a track record of success of looking to innovate and to provide excellent quality services to the people that we represent. But what we realized in going through these exercises is that you need good data, you need good information, and it has to happen in a transparent process. So rather than do it in an ad hoc process or have it be done by people who don't have the firsthand experience of going through what this process looks like, we decided that we would lead this effort to have a fundamental look at the services that the people of this community get, at innovation, to consult experts, and to see, is there a better, more efficient, faster way to provide these core services? Because fundamentally, at the end of the day, we are both presiding over governments that are in transition. And the only way that we will succeed through that transition is if we have an effective and efficient plan. So this is about making a plan for our future and consulting experts and making sure that that when we do this, we are thinking about the people who reside in our community. So I can speak for the county executive when I say that we are both looking forward to working with our legislators, both our local legislators and the county legislators, the city legislators, working with local government officials across Onondaga County, working with academics, experts from the Maxwell School, with people from the private sector, from the business community. Everyone will be welcome to participate in this process to make sure that everybody understands all of the implications of what goes through when you start thinking about how you provide services and which level of government provides it and which one perhaps is most best placed to provide those services. So with that, I will say we'd be happy to entertain any questions that anyone has.
So what specifically is going to happen?
We're going to set up a process right now, and then you will be updated as to what that process looks like. But let me just say this, what is not happening. because there is a tendency for folks to think about government modernization or consolidation as the county taking over the city. That is not what is happening. But as the leaders of the two largest governments in Onondaga County, and also as leaders of the two governments who have done, as I think, the best, most effective, and most efficient, innovative government services in the past 4 years, I think we felt we were best and well-placed to lead this effort. In addition to which, probably most importantly, that our staff has a lot of experience in doing these kind of things and thinking about these kind of things. And as I said, people were now starting to approach us individually, and we thought it makes more sense to do this as a collective process.
You have a timeline in mind as far as when we will start seeing at least some of the results?
You know, right now we don't, and I don't think it would be fair to put a timeline on it. As elected officials, things always happen later than we want them to, but...
Can I add just a little bit to that?
Of course.
I can tell you that we intend to get started with the data collection, which is step one, is if this goes as we hope it goes, we will have one spreadsheet that has all of the information about the services that are provided and what taxpayer dollars are spent where, so that we're looking apples to apples. And that process of collecting data will start right after the new year. And I'm hoping, Bill, to answer your question, that this is a 12 to 18 month process and not much longer than that, because as the mayor pointed out, we both right now benefit from tremendous staffs that have a lot of expertise in this area, and we want the whole community to benefit from that expertise, and we got to do it kind of quickly.
When you're looking at the spreadsheet, I gather it's going to cover everything that's done on city, county, and other governments. Are there areas that you know that you need to tread softly, or are you going to approach everything equally? In other words, if you look at things like research in the past, that's proven to be a very sensitive subject. Is that something that you would maybe gently approach as opposed to purchasing?
Well, Bill, the mayor and I are gentle about everything that we do. That's what we're known for, our gentleness.
Well,
Right, the mayor.
Particularly, I'm proud of that.
We are not limiting the conversation in any way, but we do recognize from experience that there are landmines, and we will tread as lightly as possible. But right now, the county is in conversations with more than one municipality about sewers, one of the less emotional topics, and we're going to continue those conversations. We're also in conversations about things like parks. Those conversations are going to go on parallel paths, because we do know how to do some of this because we've done it in the past, and we want to make sure that the progress doesn't slow down while this bigger effort takes place. But there's going to be a lot of work left to be done, and that's what this is hoping to do, is look at things for the first time in a comprehensive way.
Including things like fire districts?
As the county executive, we have no preconceived notions of leaving anything out, which everything is then in. And part of what those sensitive areas, what we have found is, as long as you have the data so that you people are making fully informed decisions about what that choice means. And what I have found in the past is that there is only one side speaking on some of these more volatile issues. And then a year later, those voters and those constituencies are looking at their tax bills and saying, I didn't know. That's part of what we want to make sure, that nobody will be able to say, I didn't know. They're going to understand the implications of all of these decisions,
And
including fire districts.
Can I say, though, that there are a lot of people, a lot of private citizens across the county that have talked to me about the need to modernize government. We have heard it since before I took office, and certainly for the last 6 years. And my request to the public is to recognize this opportunity and seize this opportunity, and don't let your voices be drowned out by special interests that have gotten in the way of progress in the past. So right now, I need everybody in this community to pay attention, to avail themselves of these great public servants that are going to give them information with which to make informed decisions. And I need people to be active and at the end of all of this to tell us what they want. As the mayor just alluded to, we've seen some success and then we've seen some votes come up short. And we have to learn from the places where we came up short. And in some of those cases, we didn't have full participation. And when you don't participate and you leave your vote to somebody else, some of this isn't going to happen. We need the whole community to show the same political courage and the same open-mindedness and creativity that we're asking from our own offices.
How much do these things save? I mean, when you talk about all the problems with government, it seems to be the things beyond your control, state mandates,
Well, look,
attention to the problem, not this little stuff.
any study that you read about consolidation says that you should not enter into these kind of arrangements thinking that you're going to save money. But what they do is if they can save efficiencies in terms of the number of people who are providing that service or provide that service better, ultimately that will save money. So is this being done to save money? Not primarily. This is being done to provide better services to the people of this community and do it in a way and pay for those services in a way that makes more sense.
Are there places you look at that are further along in the process that you can use as an example? Other city, county partnerships, even in other states?
Look, every state is different, and when you say that, New York State itself is very, very unique. But people are looking to us. So look at the kind of notoriety that we've gotten from the land bank and the kind of support that we've gotten from the land bank. That's a city-county venture that is going to, and it's already inured to the benefit of the people of the city in particular, because we've seen more and more people paying their property taxes, and that's a good thing, and thinking about their properties. The Regional Airport Authority, all you have to do is look out there and see the expansion and see more. Delta, I think it was last week, announced that they're having more flights to New York City. And the Save the Rain, the county executive, appropriately so, has gotten attention nationwide for her and the county's innovative work on this. So we've already set the standard, and what we're hoping to do now is to continue that leadership.
So who's going to hire a consultant?
All of those details are to be determined.
Who will pay for these?
All of those details are to be determined.
Can I say, though, that I am hopeful the state, particularly Governor Cuomo, has talked about and put funding behind his encouragement for local governments to work together. And I imagine that based on the fact that we are willing to start this process, that we will get some help from the state to further this effort. And that's going to be our first attempt, is to get grant money to fund the data collection. But we certainly aren't going to let anything like that derail us.
And so the data collection, though, is going to start in a week or two. Who's going to do that?
Well, what's going to start in January is a process to hire the consultant to do that. And there are a lot of experts. We want somebody who's familiar with local governments and brings the same level of expertise that we already have here locally. But we want to look to outside expertise, private sector expertise, public expertise, the community at large. And the first step is going to be an organized effort to collect data.
And you're including like the town and villages in this, because they seem to have more of the issues sometimes.
Everybody's going to be included. Everybody's welcome to
And
participate.
they've all embracing this as you talk about it.
The city and the county are the two biggest municipalities in the county, and we are starting the conversation with open arms, welcoming everybody to the conversation, including the towns and villages, and that is going to happen. That's part of what I mean when I say once we start those conversations, then word gets out in the public in a way that isn't the same as us telling you ahead of time that we're coming, and we have agreed that we are going to embrace this process and see it through And we are now reaching out to the other folks that we're gonna need to make this successful, including the towns and villages.
For modernization, when people look at the tax bill and they look at the services which they pay for down the road, do you think that it could help by changes that you will see right now?
I think it already has, and I think it will continue to. And an obvious one on a day like today is that we have 19 towns, 15 villages, the city of Syracuse, Onondaga County, and New York State plowing our roads. And we're all doing it inside these artificial geographic spaces that nobody would do if you gave them a blank slate and said, go plow the roads. We wouldn't have a series of governments all plowing small little spaces. We would certainly do things more efficiently. That's just one example, and we have examples like that across the board. Not to mention, there's all the school districts that are also plowing. Okay, so this is the beginning. We are off and running, and I appreciate, we're gonna need your help to get the word out about what it is we're doing, and ask us any questions along the way. The more open this conversation, the better.